Welcome back, Bernhard.
Hi, Carsten. So we are
Now we have a
approaching the end, sort of.
yeah, we have a complex video now because we were discussing a lot how we do it. So
Well, it is not really complex, I would say. I mean, we have done most of the stuff, right? But now we need to simulate the client, which is to show how the client would, access the resources on your system, right?
yeah, so this is here remote desktop app. So
Hmm.
first, what is the status? Let's see here. I have deployed another Windows 11 multi-session host. So we have now two, the MS1 and the MS2.
Hmm.
And if we look in Azure, let me see, where is my Azure? I think it's here in our um, host pool. One, we have now two registered machines. So,
Hmm.
Bernard, you configured that if multiple users log in over to the workspace, hopefully it will put one user on one machine and one user on the other machine. Maybe that works.
Yeah,
Yeah?
it should sort of, distribute the load to the two boxes, right?
So let's see. So first, I switch to my host. So I'm now at the machine,
Hmm.
not in PKWAC. So it's my workstation.
Hmm.
And Bernard, you sent me the link for the download of the desktop client. So
Well, yeah, and there are various tools, right? So this is the Windows tool, right? In order to install it on your, it don't use the normal RDP client because AVD is using a better protocol or an update for the protocol, and that comes with the with that client that you're about to install, right?
okay.
There's also a web access tool or a website that you can try in order to get access, right? If you're working on a system where you cannot install anything because you're not allowed to, it
Mhm.
does also work with a web client. So there is a URL out there. Also, it works
But
for
I want to
Macs.
use the full client, right?
Yeah, so there are some differences, right, in what every client can do and every client does support. And you could also see, right, there is an Android app, so you can also use your phone for accessing it, right?
Okay.
There are
So ARM
also
version.
thin clients available, right? Which is interesting if you have managed. So we are sort of partnering with other thin client vendors. So it's one link down. And the thin clients, right? Sometimes they are managed. They are, Linux-based solutions with special editions. Maybe sometimes on even on USB drives, which you could plug in and then you boot off from it and
Yeah.
can work with it. So there are different possibilities of connecting to AVD, and you're using maybe one of the most, for the Windows guys, most obvious ones, which is installing the tool. Okay, so
So
press, yeah,
this
press
one?
the 64-bit version because that's the most common one, as it's stating, right? And be aware that this guy gets updates from time to time, right? I will show you how it is looking like if it is signaling that there is an update on my system when I'm connecting to it.
So I have a
Okay.
multi-monitor computer.
Mm-hmm.
So there was something on it, I assume, but I didn't find it. So it wanted to repair, change, or something. So I think I should be good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think everybody knows how to install a Windows application, right?
Right.
So
So
I
let's
go,
assume we just installed that application. There is not really a lot of questions that you are going to be asked. I mean, that's it. And try to launch it one more time. So in your search window, type in remote desktop, and you should be able to find it.
yeah, I started it, I guess, and I have to find it on my screens.
Hmm.
So I would say this is not valid anymore. So I can unsubscribe from this. And now we have the out of the box experience, I would say. So I can
So
subscribe, right?
yeah, so this is the experience how it looks like if you're starting from scratch, right? So after the installation, you see that dialog and you need to subscribe. And you can either subscribe with a URL that someone provided for you, or one of the easiest thing would be to use a username for scribe or subscribing. So
Right. So I click on subscribe.
right, be patient a little bit because it brings up an Azure logon dialog, and this is the phase where we are sort of validating your credentials against your Azure Active Directory. So this tool is allowed to delegate to your Azure AD. It's not the AVD hosted Azure AD, it's yours, right? So it needs to has your users and your passwords, right? So
So
that's it. Okay, and as you are logging on with a user that has permissions um, to a desktop application group, which is published in the AVD workspace #1, there
yeah,
you
I
go.
remember we
That
choose that name, right?
right, yeah. And there's something that we can do to change that look and feel, right? So um, we can do this now or later if you want to, or let's do the not change the look and feel, but to change the or see how it works out with the logon experience. So before you hit on double click the desktop, do a right click on it, please, and go for settings. Yes,
Yes.
because you are demonstrating, and sometimes I know that you have
Yes, I have.
multiple monitors. So instead of connecting now with all of these monitors, which would be not very good for this video series, so please go
No,
delete. Yes, select the display that you want to choose for. Oh.
this one, the small one.
So you have to
Yes.
do the
Let's click
inverse stuff.
identity.
Inverse. You need to deselect the others and select only
Okay.
two.
Okay. So it's two like
Well,
identity. Yes.
you're so polite. You're choosing the smallest, tiniest monitor for the demo. But yeah, we don't.
It's still full HD, right?
That's good. Okay, that's it. So go back and then just hit the X on the top. It will be remembered, and now do a double click, and it hopefully should bring up the dialog on this one.
I hope so.
Mhm.
Otherwise, I will look at the other monitors as they are nearby.
So there might
Okay.
be, an additional pop-up prompt for the Active Directory session for the log on to the computer itself. So there might be another dialogue that you need to
I have to
bring up.
say, let me see. No. There was a. You saw it. There was a
Yeah.
small
Mhm.
behind it. I love it when application dialogues pop behind an active window.
Well, I don't think, I mean, from how you are sharing your screen at the moment, I don't think that you're sharing everything because I only see a black screen. So
Now you
might
don't
be.
see a black screen anymore, right? It was, of
Yeah.
course, popping up on another window.
Yeah. So okay. Now Carsten is logging on to the box itself.
Oh,
And
not here.
yeah, so you may have seen FS Logics has been sort of starting up, and we'll check that if FS
In
Logics
another
worked.
video, right? So
Mhm.
now
Yeah.
we are in the host. So I'm
So
logged in.
see, yeah, and it's our image, right? We could tell because we have Notepad++ on the top left, and we have Teams, but you're logged on as your user now, which is good. Um, and some of the things that might be interesting, which is, for example, if you do
Yeah.
a right click and go for the task manager, right?
So here you think here, task manager. Oh, there it is.
Mhm. So go under the users, please.
Users. So
Right.
here I
So
am.
currently you are the only user available, right? As you have to, so let me just give a second. I'm logging on.
And I try to start a terminal without administrator credentials, and I will do an, how was it? It's PowerShell, right? .env and then computer name. So I'm on the first of the two machines. And I'm
Right.
pretty sure there are more possibilities to find that out.
Yes. So I'm logged on already, but you could see nobody else is showing up here, right? So if
Yeah.
you go back to your Azure portal, for example, and have the administrator's view on the host pool itself, right? So we should see two users being, sort of sitting two different on
So
two
here we
different
are
machines. So you go to the virtual machines itself or active sessions in the middle on the right hand side in the middle. Yeah, here.
in the middle
Active
here.
sessions. You were just over it. You were just down.
Here. Yeah.
There you go. So you could see, the two users which are hosted on the two different session hosts, right?
I did. I
But
did a right. I misspelled the MS. It's MD here. So
okay, so no worries. I mean, what you could do now is if you go, let's simulate you have a maintenance window, right? And
Mhm.
you want to shut down one of the session hosts for maintenance, and you want to, tell the user who's logged on, hey, go to a different user. So you would do this by going back to the host pool itself.
Okay.
Take total machines, for example. Now select the host pool that you want to evacuate because of maintenance, which is
You mean the
up,
host or the host pool?
yeah, the session host, this one.
So the one
No,
that
no, the other.
yours. Okay.
Yes. So yeah, not selected. Just turn. Yes.
You
So
mean
two
the
things.
three dots here?
You're too fast for me. Okay, so
Okay.
select the thing, select the host, and then turn drain mode on.
So I select the host. Turn drain mode on.
Right.
Okay.
If you have read it, it won't allow new users, but it won't log off the ones that are already there, right?
Okay.
So now select the host, click on the host itself. Yes. And now go to users.
There you have the drain mode also.
Mhm.
So I go to users. Here we have
Yeah.
users.
And now select me. And now you could, so for example, do a notification, notify users, right? Which would send me a message, which would pop up on my desktop saying like, hey, you're going, please log off. You will be, let's simulate that works. Okay. Um, yeah. And let's, we would see that, right? Um, yeah, hit send and it would pop up on my screen, right?
Problem.
Yeah, don't waste it here. We won't show it because my screen is now screwed up, but I got it. Okay.
You're
Anyways, so now log me off, please, because you have the
log
same.
you off here. Log off
Yes,
users or force log off users. Oh,
I don't mind.
so I log you off.
Right. And now I would see, my session is being logged off. Right. It will shut down the profile, and it just popped up the screen. Hey, your remote desktop session ended. So now I'm hitting the session desktop logon one more time again from my side,
Mhm.
right? And if you go back to yours, right? Let me just.
To my machine.
Mhm.
I mean the task manager on where is here is
Yes,
the
on the
remote
other
desktop.
box.
Where is the remote desktop? It's gone. No,
I
here
don't
it
know.
is. I have
Yeah.
to find it. Here it is.
So you see now
You
I'm
are
the sec.
coming now. Yeah.
Right, I'm the second user on that desktop. Right.
Mhm.
So that demonstrates sort of, how the load balancing works, how you work with an administrator, and also, that this Windows is possible to do multi-session image, right?
That's so cool.
Multi-session, it allows multiple users to be connected. All right. So that's good. And let me think of it. Did we want to show anything else? And yeah,
Yes.
let's go to the let me, for example, demonstrate how it looks like from my system. So if you could switch to my screen,
I can.
and I think I was sharing the video. Is it my screen
Yes, yes,
already?
yes. We
Yeah,
see
okay.
your
So
screen. Yes.
if you look at the top, you have that dialog here with the connection information. And if you click on it, first of all, UDP is enabled, right? Which
Mhm.
is the best sort of protocol to be used for remote desktop connections. And I could tell, from the round trip time here, what we see, 26 milliseconds is the time from myself, to your system, which is, I
Mhm.
think, could work out, right? Because we are
Yeah.
I'm living in South Germany, you're sort of in the center of Germany. So
Yeah.
yeah, it makes sort of
We
sense,
are
right?
maybe 400 kilometers apart,
Right.
or
And
350
okay,
over.
but I could, work perfectly with it. So haptics are good. So now let's switch over to your system and see if it's the same or if it's different, right?
So I
So
I
also,
also have UDP.
mhm.
Let's see here.
Oh
Oh,
wow.
I have mine is a bit better. I have only 1 millisecond round trip time.
Yeah, and you could
So
even tell, from the available bandwidth, right? You see 100 megabits.
yes.
So this is something. This is a special feature, right? Which is called RDP shortpath for managed networks, right? So the client on your side is sitting on the same network as the HCI host, right? So they
Mhm.
have sort of, direct cabling, or at least, there might be some NAT devices in between, but at least, they can talk to each other relatively fast, and they don't need to go over some central Microsoft, gateway if you want to, in order to reach out to the system. So a direct connection is being used, but that was figured out after the logon process. All right. So the logon is usually, hey, you go to Azure, authenticate yourself against your Azure subscription or Azure Active Directory, and then if everything is going back, then hey, you are sort of passed through your desktop, and then the agents on the desktop figure out that there is a direct path from the sender, from the client to the desktop, and then sort of do the short handshake, which results in much less latency and more throughput, how you may want it in an enterprise, right?
Yeah,
Which
that's
is, I
very
think, a
cool.
cool thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
I
that's it.
think that's enough for this video, and we go a little bit deeper in different applications in another video where we also show maybe some GPU acceleration, right, Bernhard?
Right. So that would even, add a little bit more to it, but that's a different video, right?
Okay, cool. So see you in the next one.